Hi guys. So welcome back. What we're going to do right now is for this video go through and talk about ZA a little bit. For those that may not be aware that ZA is short for Zul'Aman. Within Zul'Aman there's a little bit of a trick in collecting all the things within here. So there's two aspects to this dungeon in and of itself. One, it came out in Burning Crusade. I guess three then. One, it came out in Burning Crusade, so it's a little bit older dungeon. Two, there's your normal loot that drops from just the bosses, but then there's also a timed event. And what I'm going to do for the video is go through, kind of explain how everything is, on the map and how we break stuff down, and then kind of run into the dungeon itself and just kind of exemplify what we're talking about and kind of orientate, I guess exemplify what we're talking about. So that being said, if we look at this here, this being the entrance, we come into the entrance this way. For reference, I'm going to say left and right. Left right now is around number 1. So we'll put that there just so we can have that. So left is number 1. Right is going toward 2. So we'll put something there. So what happens in here is that there's a timed event where in order to get the Amani Battle Bear, I believe it's called, in order to get that, you have to go through and free up 4 prisoners. So the first boss, you can kind of do them in any order, I think, except for the 4th one. So the way it goes is that you have your boss 1, 2, 3, and 4. Your 4th one being tied to once you freed that prisoner, you get your Amani Bear, and he goes and he does his thing. And then you go through the rest of the instance, killing the last bosses 5 and 6, and those guys just have loot that drops from them. There's no big real mystery there. So these are the 4 bosses that we're more or less concerned with. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Position 4 is always going to drop your mount, I believe. I don't know if you can actually get to it without defeating the other bosses. You may be if you're 120 and you're able to not aggro stuff as you're going through, but for the sake of example, what we're seeing here is that up until position 4, your loot may change based on the order in which you kill the bosses. So let's say, for example, if we go through and we kill boss 1, 2, or 3, that first prisoner that we release will always get a bag of gold instead of loot. So let's say, for example, if normally how this goes is that we'll run in and we'll go to the left. We'll go in and we'll kill the first boss. We'll release a prisoner that's just usually like somewhere right about there. We'll release him. We'll get our bag of gold, and then we'll go to the next boss. And the next boss will have a prisoner right about here that once the boss is killed, we'll release him. The neighbor says hi, by the way, if you guys can hear that. So we'll kill him, and then we'll get a piece of loot. And that loot table can be found in all the things. If we scroll over here, I want to say it's Norkani's package is what it's called, I believe. I may have to go back and take another look at that. It might be Hazlick's trunk. I think it is actually. I think it's not Hazlick's trunk, and then Norkani's package is right about here, right next to 3. So all that is all well and good. However, there's a catch. So if we look at Norkani's package, right about here, in this little drop-down menu, in this position, those gloves, they never actually drop from the package. It says that it does in all the things, but it also says it does within the dungeon encounter itself as well. That's not the case from what we found. So what we had to do in order to get those gloves to drop was to actually go and knock out the second boss first, which made us go through, and as we freed the second prisoner, we freed him first. So his first bag of loot, our first bag of loot that we picked up from the prisoners, was gold. So that then means that when we go back over here to the first guy, whenever we free him, we're actually going to get a transmogable item. So it's sometimes stuff like this can be a little bit hard to visualize. So we'll run through the dungeon real quick, and I'll try to exemplify what we're doing here. But I guess the short takeaway from this is that if you're not getting your, for us it was the Mojo gloves, there's the male gloves. There may be a couple other items, like say for example a plate chest or something that you cannot get to drop from the second or third boss. Here we're saying that maybe it may be worthwhile to go in and switch your order around. So we'll go ahead and do that really quickly. Let's pull in this guy here. Oh, by the way, if you're flying here as Alliance, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get here. There is a flight path to the instance, so once you have the flight path, it's it's a long or short flight depending if you're Alliance or Horde. But I just want to kind of go through and run in a little bit. The other thing with this is that I'm going to switch this to normal. This dungeon can only be run on heroic. So with me switching this to normal, what should happen is that we shouldn't be able to get into it. So I'm hoping that this actually works right about now. I'm going to go ahead and pull this down as well, just so it's a little bit cleaner. So we'll go in, we'll run in real quick, and just kind of exemplify it here. So you notice that we're not able to go in. If you encounter that error, just first things first, just make sure it's on normal. Make sure it's on heroic. With it being on heroic, it makes clearing this a little bit more challenging because you can only run it once per day. So whenever you switch it, normally that happens one time. So we'll run back out. Usually I'll run to the bottom of the stairs, we'll run back up again, and we're in. So that's your, I guess, your first obstacle to get in. Is just make sure you have the right difficulty on. That's also going to be true for ZG and maybe a handful of other dungeons as well. So as we make our way in order to start the encounter, you don't have to pick up any quests or do anything specific other than just talk to the guy and let him know to open up the gate. In doing so, you're also going to have to help him ring the little gong here. So just kind of be ready. There's a lot of little nuances with this dungeon. So we'll ring the gong. We'll let that resonate for a little bit. And then you're going to have a wave of ads come. The ads aren't really a big deal, but when they become a big deal is if you ignore them. So what's going to happen is they're going to make their way over here. There's about like 7 or 8 of them that come over here. The problem with them is that if you don't kill them, like if we just mounted up and we took off without killing them, what would end up happening is that we would stay in like some sort of perpetual combat. And the problem with that is that if you're in combat, you can't open any sort of loot items. And that's going to make a really big impact for whenever we go through and we free up the prisoners. So if this was normal, I would go this direction first because I'm heading over to this boss. However, we're going to go to the second boss because we're going to try to get the gloves to drop here. I already have them, but just for the sake of example, we're going to do it this way. So I'm going to run back this way. I'm going to loop your way back around. Now this fight activates by proximity. So the ads have already jumped down. They're already targeting us. We don't want to skip them. We have to go through. We have to kill these guys. And then the boss retreats back. We have another wave of ads that come down the stairs. This guy is 101 as far as his level goes, so we're not exactly one-shotting him. As a 120, you probably shouldn't have too much of an issue here. So we're just knocking out the waves. Oh, and here recently there's been a little bit of a bug with the loot and looting bosses and raids as well as dungeons. Just make sure to, if you only get one piece of loot, loot them again. We happen to get 2 times that, 2 pieces of loot, but if you're 11 levels above a dungeon, you should get 2 pieces of loot per boss. So if you're only getting 1, just make sure to loot the boss again. So here's your technically your second prisoner. So we're going to talk to him. However, we're opening up his thing first. Now, if we were in combat, he's going to go through and unlock this crate. if we were in combat, we wouldn't be able to open this crate. So that's why we had to go back and make sure we killed those guys at the beginning of the instance. So we'll go through, we'll wait for him to do his thing. Give him a second here. Okay, so at this point, he's freed it up for us, and we'll open it up. So normally, we would get some sort of transmogged item here, but you notice that we've only picked up a bag of coins. This is again because this is our first chest, our first loot item or box or whatever that we've opened up that's freeing the trapped prisoners. But you've also noticed that the time up here. I did forget to mention that earlier. We have 18 minutes. So what would happen is back when it was current content is that you would go through and you would try to do all this in like under 20 minutes. I think when you start with like 15 minutes. You go through each boss that you kill. You get an additional 5 minutes of your added to your timer. And so, you know, by the time you get to the fourth boss, you want to be able to kill the fourth boss before that time expires. So that was the whole challenge in getting the mount. Which I guess, you know, for the sake of the video, we could probably go through and get that as well. But we should be able to do that in time. So we can try that. So we're going to go to what's presumed to be the third boss. Just because you can kind of do this in any order that you want. But we'll go through. I would kill these guys. Whenever you attack the boss, they do aggro. So I just usually get them out the way. Then we'll make our way up here. Alright, so with this one, be careful, make sure that you get everything done that you want to with this boss. If we run off the ledge, there's a point, if I can put the camera correct here, you can't really get back up there. There's another way to get back to the entrance, and you know, I'll go over that here in a second. But however, the third prisoner that we want to free up is right here. So this guy will go through and unlock this chest. Initially, if we look at all the things, so if I pull this up on this side, so we are in Burning Crusade. I might have to change my settings real quick. Let's see, let's go to add-ons, all the things. We'll go into show collected things. I said Burning Crusade, didn't I? I think I meant Cataclysm. Alright, so let's see. So within Cataclysm, you notice that the chest is still sitting there. If you run up to it, if you're standing near it, whenever it blows up, it'll knock you back. So just kind of be at a heads up for that. But for this encounter, that was Norkani's package, I think. I think so. Let's see. For some reason, it's not showing the gloves. We'll have to go back and figure out why. But there should show the Mojo gloves, and we picked up the cloth wrist. So at this point, in order to go through and get the let's hide that back again. In order to go through and get the gloves to drop for us, and again for the hunter, it's it's gloves. For the warrior, it might be the plate chest piece or something along those lines. But all in all, it's just to say that if you're not, if you've gone through like I did and you looted that chest piece or that yeah, we'll say that chest piece or that chest. If you've looted that, like say 30 or 40 times, and it's the item that you're looking for hasn't dropped yet, then it may be worth switching up tactics and going through and switching the order of the bosses that you kill. So this is, I guess, an alternative to the normal style of way that we would clear through this dungeon. Normally we would have already killed this guy, and then we would be on our way. So we'll go this way. You notice that we have 14 minutes. Oh, you know what? My bad, guys. So I'm going I took a left turn sooner than I needed to. So we have about 14 minutes. When we get up to the next boss, I'll kind of point out the time again, but we should get like 5 additional minutes for the sake of the mount. Make sure to kill him. This guy is important because he triggers the little gauntlet here. If he's not killed, you can go in and kill these guys, but they'll just respawn. And then the boss, you know, you won't be able to interact with the boss at the end. So we'll go through, complete this here. Just knocking out the gauntlet. Alright, so our timer says 13 minutes at the moment. We'll take out this guy. And it bumps it up to 18. So each time we kill a boss, our timer is extended by 5 minutes. Now finally, normally if we were doing this on a normal clear, we would only be getting that sack of coins. However, with this guy, since he's the third one that we're freeing, we're going to be going through and getting some sort of transmog item. The transmog item the transmog table from this particular one and the previous one are different. So it may be worth mixing up your runs a little bit. Let's see. And there we go. So with this one, we got the Voodoo Hexblade. This Hexblade, it may drop from both this encounter as well as the third one. I think there is some overlapping of the loot tables, but you know, in short, I just kind of want to save everybody a little bit of time because, like I said, we spent probably a good 30 or 40 runs whenever we were running through here and trying to figure out what's going on and why we're not getting certain items drop. And again, it could be just the gloves, or it could be a handful of more items. So the other thing that we've already done is that we've gone in, and with us clearing through, we should be able to just run straight to the fourth boss. And the only reason I'm doing this is just kind of to show the we'll clear these guys out the way real quick. Just to kind of go through and show that you can get a mount from here, and just, you know, how is it done? Because there's a little bit of a cinematic effect with the as soon as all these ads are done, a little bit of a cinematic event with the fourth guy. So we'll go ahead and pull that in real quick. These guys do have a little bit of a shield to them. There we go. Oh, and that's the other thing. You do get BOEs. They're not worth as much, but you do get BOEs in here. There's I think there's a set of 4 different gloves, like plate, leather, mail, and cloth gloves as far as BOEs are concerned. If you get the hex items, like the let's see if we can pull that up. Usually you get a bunch of them, so if I don't have one, I'll be surprised. I guess I don't. Well, there you go, I'm surprised. Okay, so normally you'll get some sort of like Amani hex stick or something like that. What that's used for is to go through and apply it to the frogs in that center area that we just went through. In doing so, you can also potentially get a pet frog. For me, I think it took maybe less than 10 attempts, but the frogs are you know, bind on equip as well to a certain extent. You have to learn them and then put them into a cage, but those can sometimes sell for a little bit. Alright, we'll take these out. There we go, the Amani hex stick. So this right there, TSM is saying that they sell for a pretty extensive amount. I've never sold them for that much, but here we go. So this is our fourth boss. And for my little warrior here, he does take a little bit of an effort to take down. Okay, so that's done. So the guy that we have to free is back at the entry point. So we'll go ahead and free him. So with this one, you notice with the first 3 guys that we freed up, they went through and they knew exactly where their package was. If we just mark him with that, he's going to go in, and it takes him a couple shots to figure out where his package is. So I think he does 2 incorrect vases, and then he does he breaks down a correct one. If you're interested in the gold or the silver, whichever it is over here, each time he breaks the vase, it does drop some of that. So we'll just kind of follow him around. And again, he's trying to figure out where he put his other thing. I think it ends up being this vase in the corner. I could be wrong. It's been a little while since we've done this. Alright, there we go. So with this set, what he's going to do here, he'll break this open, and that little cautious bag is what it's called. So if we click on it, we have our mount right there. So if you don't have the Amani Battle Bear, that's how you get it. So hopefully that helps a little bit. We're about to go live, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. But yeah, I wanted to walk through ZA and help you out with that. The upcoming videos that we're doing next is probably going to be the chest event in Kara, as well as the Spine of Deathwing here pretty soon. But if you have any other like dungeons or raids that you'd kind of like me to go through and maybe talk about the fight from an all the things collector's perspective, feel free to throw it in the comments or pop up on Twitch side and let me know as well. But yeah, very willing to go ahead and do so. I think there's a couple tricks to several dungeons. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. I'll see you maybe in about looks like about 30 minutes. So alright guys, y'all take care.